Alright, welcome back everybody. Finally able to start doing some more work again, so this is a little bit more cleanup on the right tank and then onto some prep on the left tank. Finally trying to get it caught up. Right here you see me dimpling and adding the nut plates to that splice plate. I hadn't actually done that yet. Just going through and adding the number 8 size dimples for the screws that are going to go in there, and then the number 40s to hold the nut plates in. And now I'm getting the nut plates clecoed in place so I can get them riveted on. And mainly decided to do this because at some point here soon, and you'll see I put the tank up there, but the tank's going to end up sitting on top of there to stay out of the way. I don't think it's going to affect anything with the cure it's got going on now, since that last fillet I added is pretty small. But I needed to have those dimples in there so that the dimples on the skin on the tank would have some place to sit when it's sitting up there rather than pushing out against that splice strip. And originally I had left that splice strip unriveted along with that, I think that rib on that side of the leading edge, just so I had wiggle room to move stuff around later if I needed to make adjustments, but I don't think that's necessary, so I'll probably get those dealt with sooner than later. So with that done, put the right tank up where it goes. It's definitely going to need a little tweaking to get it pulled up tight against the skin. I think the dimples are holding it away right now, but I don't want to jockey it around any more than I have to until I know that the sealant is cured and it has no more leaks. I decided to get out the little inspection camera there, because one of those leaks is right there on that top edge of the baffle in that first bay where the filler neck is. So now that I got it uncovered, I thought I'd take a look at the bead and see if I could see anything, but I can't. It all looks like it should. Anyhow, on to the left tank. I'll spare you a lot of this, but this is me going through with the new electric screwdriver and just deburring hundreds and hundreds of holes. Something you've all seen me do thousands of times at this point, but still got to get done. So a much more aggressive scuff for the fuel tank, just to make sure that that sealant's got something good to bite onto. So I'm just going along all of the rivet lines where all of the ribs and stiffeners are going to go. And that wheel makes pretty short work of it. And then I just go over with the Scotch-Brite pad here in a little bit to get the spots I couldn't get into. And yeah, while I was doing those number 12 holes on the strip, I forgot that I needed to dimple the number 12 holes on the wing skin. So I need to reset the squeezer back up for that. Is that number 12 dimple die is thick enough that I need to put the shorter ram on there to actually get enough gap in the dies to be able to get it between the skin and get them dimpled. So one downside to these dimple dies, they're number 8 dimple dies. I'm not sure if I said 12 or not earlier, but number 8, Vans recommends using a C-frame with a hammer to get a nice clean dimple. This hydraulic squeezer makes a really good dimple. The only drawback, and you could kind of see it a second ago when I was dimpling it, you'll get a better shot when I do this top edge. Those holes are close enough to the edge and those dimples are so big that it slightly deforms the edge. And you can see me taking the hand seamer and trying to straighten the edge back out especially the corners. It likes to pull the corners up. But if you pay attention to this one, you'll see here that outer corner bent up just a little bit. You might even be able to see a little wave in the skin. But the hand seamer seems to take it all back out as long as you go across a couple holes at a time and squeeze it good and tight. And now I'm just trying to grab the number 40 skin holes that I can reach with the squeezer before I commit to setting up the C-frame. And now it's time to get the C-frame out and go after all the rest of the holes on that skin. Thankfully, it doesn't really take too long to set up or switch between just the squeezer and the C-frame. Here I decided to try and get you a better angle, and didn't last very long on this side before, yep, camera fell. Try it on the other side. This seemed to work better, other than the hose kind of dripping down in the way. It's weird, you can see how much the hose flexes under the hydraulic pressure every time I use it. And here in a second I'm going to slow it down to normal speed so you can actually get an idea of how fast this really does or doesn't go. So here you go. Here's a normal speed. Not quite as impressive, but still pretty quick. And again, having that foot pedal and being able to have both hands free to manipulate this thing around, I think is definitely one of the best benefits of this whole setup. So long as you're paying attention and not making bonus holes. Anyways, back to ludicrous speed. And if you notice, I'm not doing that long top edge of holes. That is because those, if you remember from previous videos, those got machine countersunk. So they do not need dimples. Anyhow, that's it for the C-frame. Now I'm just cleaning up the edges because there was a few little, I could feel a few little nubs on there still from where these got stamped out of other edges. And now I'm just taking the double-edged deburr tool, going along the edges, getting them nice and soft. I do have a whole bunch of other stuff on order to replenish my supplies of popsicle sticks and another set of those rubber spatulas for this tank and everything else that I pretty well destroyed going through the other tank. Now, off camera, before we got to this point, I did take the skin and wash it with some mildly soapy water and rinsed it off really good, just to get rid of all that oils and dust and aluminum debris and everything else from getting them clean. So they're actually pretty clean right there. And then you saw me with the wax degreaser cleaner, wax remover degreaser cleaner, and went over the actual surfaces that I'm about to start sealing. Yeah, you can see me trying to scrape off that pallet thinking I was going to reuse it, but I think I let it Excuse me, I think I let it sit too long, and I can probably still peel that stuff off, but it's just being a pain and I don't feel like dealing with it right now. So I'm just going to use a trim down cup, which works, but it's too flexible for how thick this stuff is. And it's kind of a pain to deal with. And there I just caught myself. Forgot to put tape on the inside of the filler neck. That's definitely a pro tip. It makes cleanup much easier. I did it on the other one. Glad I did it on this one. I can't imagine how messy the inside of that filler neck would get if you didn't have some tape over it to help clean it up. And the only good thing about doing all of this stuff more than once is you get a lot better at it, or you come up with better ways to do it. When I did that first filler neck and drain on the right tank, I got all kinds of complicated. I busted out the C-frame and used it for back riveting, and really wasn't necessary because it turns out the 4-inch yoke will reach over half of the rivets for the filler neck. It will reach all of the rivets for the drain, and I just needed to use the rivet gun and the bucking bar to do the few other rivets on the filler neck. And you'll see me doing that here in a second now that I got those all squeezed. I also knew best which length rivet goes where at this point, since I'd already done this before. Finishing out my fillet. Thought about doing the rivet caps, but decided I'd wait and just do them all at once. So now I'm going to get the drain buttered up and riveted in place. And hopefully today I can get out there and get the stiffeners sealed on and riveted in place, and then I'll give those a good day to cure before I move on to trying to actually put ribs in. Once again, lofty goals, but I am really hoping that this tank will go quicker and I can somehow get it done this week, although we'll see what the work schedule ends up demanding. I'll have this week hopefully here at home and one more weekend, and then unfortunately I'm gone again for a couple of weeks worth of work. It'd really be nice to have the tanks done before I go. Anyhow, went ahead and capped off the rivet heads, and now I'm just cleaning everything back up. Definitely wasn't as bad this time. You get more and more used to working with this stuff and hopefully make less and less of a mess. Anyhow, I hope you all enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll leave you some parting pictures of the finished product. And hopefully I'll move on to those stiffeners here today. See y'all in the next one.